Okay, so today we're going to be assembling the legs. This is one that I've put together just so that we've got as a reference for all the skeletal and internal structure that we'll be clipping into place. One point to note, when you're putting these together, there's two different types. One with a larger hole and on the back one. This is the one you want to be starting on. This is the final piece that clips on the top. And the other point to note, there are cutouts for the under shoulder details, so make sure that they're facing up. You don't want to assemble it that way around, because then you'll find that your cutout, as you build the little box section for it, will be on the wrong side. And again, make sure you've took any of the styrene protective film that's on there off, or else when you come to glue the skins on finally, they're not going to adhere, or when you're gluing the tabs in place. So the first part to start off with are these internal spars, and the way you'll notice that the difference is on one end, you can see that there, you've got like a small cutout ledge. That's for the shoulder hub to sit on top of. So that's going to go up the top. Again, make sure you've got none of the protective coating on. And these little slots that you've got all the way along, they've got to face up, because we're going to put these little support pieces in there. So it doesn't matter which side these go on, there's no difference there. So just click her in the top. You should go with a nice firm snap. And that's that one in place. And then the same with this one. If you have got any little bits of residue still in there, you can take a file to it. Just to make sure it's nice and keep it snug. And again, just clip that in place. There you go. That's all clipped out. Next pieces are these two, and they're a mirror of each other. And what you've got are the cutouts for the under shoulder details, and also the engraved slot that runs all the way around the ankle. So you need to make sure that they're placed in with the under shoulder detail. It should line up where you've got this cutout. Let's put that in. Now just push these ones in from the side. On the top there, that's that one in. And then the same with this one, under shoulder cutout, the engraved part, the slots all facing up, and then that's going to clip in on there. So that's that part done. The next section is to put all your little support pieces in. So that's these, and they should, again, just make sure all of the plastic has been taken off them. You should nice and snugly drop in there. Make sure they're flush with the top. If they don't sit flush, little needle file, just to make sure they are, because when you clip the top section on, you don't want it sitting proud. So again, make sure you're not on. Just work your way down. So that's them all in, nice and snug, nice and flush along the top. Next part are assembling these pieces, which are for the under shoulder details. So there's a chamfered section that's going to butt up against the skin where you just put it in there, and then there's this detail piece which clips it in. So Two of them go there, like so, and then that clips in. Can be a bit fiddly. That one's going in okay. Same with the other side. Chamfered section down there. Shoulder detail. Put that one in. The next part are all these brace pieces at the top. Now the thing to bear in mind is you've got three which are different. What they're for is to give you enough space to get a bolt and a socket in, so that when you're attaching or detaching the legs. So what you need to do is make sure smaller tab to the outside for that one. Same on that one, smaller tab to the outside, that one, and then the same on that one, smaller tab to the outside. And you should notice you've got good clearance then around the bolt holes. Next part are all these pieces, and what you'll see on those, there's a small notch that's been taken out, and that's for the shoulder hub, the outside part of it, to sit on the top. So they go towards the inside. Notch. Notch. Notch in there. Notch there. And then notch there. So that's those two parts. Now, what I've found is best for these pieces is you can clip them in, but they're all only held in on the sides. They don't actually, there's nothing to hold them in at the top. So when you're putting the top skin on, they can pop out. So yeah, a sleek fit. There you go. What I think I'm going to do is just quickly file just a little bit off the side of that. I don't want anything warping or distorting. Better? And the same with that piece. I'm just trying to find that one. The same with these bottom two, but the bottom two I really do find that they're easier if you put them in once the actual top layer is going to go on. So that's all your internals done. So the next part is going to be clipping the top section on. And remember, with this one, on the shoulder details, this time we're going to go that way down, and that'll finish creating the little box section for them to go in. Now this can be a bit fiddly, and you might need to use a little bit of extra strength, a rubber mallet possibly, just to click them all in. So it's more about eyeball it, line up all the slots. Don't worry too much about these outside ones because they can clip in at a later date once you've finished. Just work your way down. Should go with a fairly satisfying little click as they drop in. Just work those round. There we go. And there we have it. So the thing I was obviously not done on that part, just for the purpose of showing you this, is go through before you put the top layer on and put all the glue, just run a little bead of the dichloromethane down each of the points where the two where the frame and all the supports contact each other. To be totally honest, I'm not entirely sure you need it because that is quite robust, but it's worth doing anyway. And then likewise, once you've got the top section on, just run a bead of it all the way down here. Likewise, when you turn it over on the back, do a little bead of it on the back of all these parts. So I shall take the top skin off again, glue it all together, fast forward while they're with me gluing it, and then we get on to skinning it. Obviously I'll do this one at the same time. See you soon. There we go. So, just going to file that so that the chamfer matches the angle that's under the shoulder. There we go. Doesn't take long to do, just to knock it back, just so we've got it nice. So for the structural parts of it, I'm using quite a lot of ME getting it right into there so the capillary action will draw it in and bond it. But we need to be careful with the skins because they're on show. Smaller amounts that we're using towards the edges, and what we'll also do as well is we'll sand it just to hide the joint once it's actually all skinned. So again, get all the PPE on, and we'll get the top section skinned and taped up. It is important to make sure that you've got this groove on the top. Very easy to put it the wrong way around, and then you won't have the actual groove for the detail that's on the bottom part. After that up, align the top section there, top of the ankle, so it's all square. Good push down. Now we've got to get the tape on. Right. It will slide round a little bit. Just allow you to position it. Okay. We've got that on. Make sure it's nice and snug. It's not pulling in. Put a bit more tight. You can put clamps on. Yeah. And we're just going to use a small amount just in the joint. Don't let it run onto the face. Just in the joint, that it'll get drawn. You'll see the plastic melting and being drawn into the gap. Don't take the undershoulder into there. That's that one done for the one skin. And this one. Should be one over there.
Keep it away from the skin. Put it mainly on the frame. Just because that is pulling a little bit more, I'll put another piece of tape on the top. So if you've got plenty of clamps, you can use them. I just find that sometimes because you're using the hammer, you can compress it and you can get a visible mark on the top part of the skin. So a bit of tape holds it for now. Not the skin, paint the frame, not the skin. Just let it draw down into the side. Just squishing that one. Anyway, this is an early kit. There's quite a big gap on that part there, but that's been ironed out in the files. Your kit shouldn't have that gap. That's that part done.
Okay, now we're going to assemble what is probably the trickiest part of the kit. We've skinned the legs, the outside. What we've got to do now is build up the ankle, the back of the ankle, and that comes in a multitude of pieces. So you've got 3 back plates, which are these 3. So when you count through, you should have the skin and then 3 back plates on the back. You're definitely going to need clamps for this. And then on the front part, the same again, you've got 3 plates, one of which has got cutouts in it. That's going to be the front piece. Again, they're going to get clamped in the front of there, so you laminate them all up to make one solid piece for the ankle. And then what Frank has designed is a cable run. So you've actually got inside here is the route for the cable to come down the inside leg, comes out through the hole on the side. Now what I have found in experience is when that's bolted into the ankle, into the foot shell, that actually creates a pinch point. So over time you get cable fatigue and it snaps. So what I've been doing with my builds is just coming straight out the bottom of the leg into the top of the foot shell, and you've got clearance then. So it's up to yourselves whether you want to carry on and using Franks. You still need to clamp these and put these pieces in place, but whether you route your cable through that designed in cable route is up to yourselves. Now the measure for this, the club standard is a 1 inch across there. Because we're obviously using metric material, we're ever so slightly under that, which gives you a little bit of wiggle room when you come to actually footing your foot shells. So we're on 25, just under an inch. So it's worth cross check that strip there is actually just ever so slightly under an inch. It's 25. And likewise, when it comes to make sure you've got enough on here, as long as you're counting across from your skin, the outer skin here, you've got four that way, but you'll also have within your kit our styrene skins, which you're going to put on the top of this so you won't see any of it. If you place that on the top there, should just about cover. You've got a little bit of lip at the back which you'll be filing off. If you find you're putting it on and you've got a piece that's sticking out, then you've probably got one of the other pieces from the kit bolted on there. So definitely, as with the whole kit, dry fit everything first, cross check your measurements. So yeah, 1 inch, that's the critical one, because any of the club foot shells are not going to fit if you have it any wider than that, which is why it's important to have it nice and clamped nice and tight, because you've only got a fraction of a millimetre space of what's actually going to go in there. If I measure that, this hasn't been fully compressed up yet. You're looking at 62mm across there, so just cross check with that. And another one to see what you can do from your kit is for the ankle bracelet, these need filing ever so slightly the corners, because the way that they've been cut, they've got a rounded corner, so you need to square those off. But as long as when you put those on, work them sort of the flush, so you go thereabouts once you've actually worked those corners just back with a file. Now, talking of file, one thing to do before you go to the next stage, which is skinning it, is for the skins we've got an engraved slot all the way around, which you see on the leg. Now, to replicate that going forward, we put a piece of skin for this part and a skin there, but you've got a section here which is the internal structure for the leg. So what you've got to do, just get a small file and just file that so that it matches the actual engraved line that you've got inside there. You can do it with a Stanley knife. You just take your time, be careful doing it. These are just cheap modelers, needle files. Putting the actual skin on creates the actual more of an engraved with it, but just knocking back the structural part to create that slot. There you go. So that's that for that part. So I'm going to go clamp these up again, laminate each part of it, and then we'll come back to how we're going to go and skin the leg. Okay, so I thought I'd take the opportunity just to go over the pieces at once before we clamp them all up and finally stick them to the leg. So that's the back plates, 3 of them all laminated together, nice and strong. We've got the detail pieces for the front ankle, front of the ankle. Strong. And then this is what goes on about with the piece that's got the channel for the cable to run down for the motors, and then the hole at the side for it to come out of. But if you imagine that sat in the channel for the foot, it creates a pinch point, so I tend to just come down straight out the bottom and into the top of the foot shell. It's up to yourselves. Just remember to do them mirrored when you're actually building the legs up. So what I'll do, I'll clamp these in place and I'll get the last part glued up. Right, tend to use just hold things in place with a bit of tape while you're aligning it all.
that nice and flush up there with the clamp on. As I said, this is the bit in the build where you really do need quite a few clamps. And there is one piece that we will be filing because we've got the squared edge on this piece here. We're just going to file that with the chamfer, but we'll do that once it's all been clamped up. Flip it over just to make sure everything's lined up on the other side. You can see it's just pushed a bit. It's a bit awkward. Because you are going to be skinning this on top as well, if there is a very slight difference in height, it's not a big issue. You can always sand it back. Okay. Have a look. Not looking too bad. And then there's this last part. I will say this is a beta test kit that I had for a while. One of the issues that the CNC company hadn't cut one of the holes on the skin, so I'll have to drill that at a later point. But this is where, when you're building your leg up, deciding which side it's going to go, just make sure you make them mirrored from each other so that when it's sat, the cables are running out into the foot shell. So that's where we've got with that there. And we'll notice the plate, there's a gap in the bottom there. So this is this piece that you've got here. It's got a cut out on it, so I'll couple of the wires to come out. And if you're offering up your ankle, you think, okay, it's going to be there, and the hole is on that part there, so you want the thing to line up with it like that. So this can be a bit tight, so you might need to just take a bit of a file to the top of it. Just clicking it. You don't want to force it too much because it can cause it to pop out, but it does need to be snug. There we go. No, a bit more off. Depending on how tightly you've clamped it all up in the first place, the piece might just go straight in. There we go. And then we're just going to stick that piece on there like that. I'll say I just come straight out the bottom, but it's yourselves. So get the old PPE back on again, glue it all up, and we're then on to skins. Okay, so now that it's got all the clamps off, so I was happy it was all lined up. We're just going to glue it all up, clamp it all up, and then let that set.